Hello, I'm Michael Mayer from VocalWisdom.com, and in this video I want to talk about lip buzz. Some people may know this as a lip trill or some variation, but basically I'm talking about the exercise of doing brrr, okay? So I've had people ask me about this, and it's something that I've been actually talking to people about for quite a long time. It's a very popular exercise, and it's used by all different sorts of voice teachers and voice coaches. It's used by classically oriented coaches and teachers, and it's used by pop and rock and non-classical type of teachers as well. So it's a universal type of exercise. I was taught this exercise all the way back in my graduate school days doing my master's degree 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, I guess. And my teacher that I had at that time who taught me this exercise really believed, he was very, very enthusiastic about this exercise. He felt that it was about as close to a perfect exercise for the voice that there was. And I want to talk about this exercise because I personally feel like this exercise is not only overrated, but because of the way so many people do it, is very counterproductive. So there's a basic principle that I base this opinion on, which is no exercise, whether it be lip buzzing, humming, various kinds of vibrating consonants, singing through a straw I talked about before. No exercise that is different than just basic singing or basic vocalizing really can be of much benefit unless the basic act of vocalizing is already fairly competent and the individual is already able to use their voice in at least a pretty good balance to begin with. And so I want to talk about why I feel that way. If we look at what this lip buzz type of exercise is doing, we are basically vibrating the lips in a fairly large, right? A fairly large vibration. It's not even a vibration like a trumpet or some kind of horn player would use, which is much smaller, but it's using a really floppy lip sort of thing. And not only that, we're trying to vocalize the voice at the same time. The theory is that the airflow to make the lips vibrate will assist in causing the vocal cords to vibrate. This is a mistaken interpretation of the nature of the voice. There's a few different ways to look at this. One is look at the size of the vibrating material. When we're vibrating the lips, look how big the lips are. Right? Think about really basic principle. The size of the vibrating material determines the amount of breath needed to set them in motion. So if we look at the size of these lips compared to the size of these lips, which I always use sort of like the fleshy part of the fingernail to kind of visualize the size of the vocal cord. That is close enough. The length of the vocal cords inside the larynx. So think about how much breath it takes to make these lips vibrate. And if we take that principle of the size relates to the amount of breath, does it really make sense that the same amount of breath to make these lips vibrate is the amount of breath we should be using to make these lips vibrate? So that's my first avenue of reasoning. The second is it's a mistake to believe that the vocal cords are even meant to vibrate based on airflow. So the lips are up here. In order to make these lips vibrate, there has to be airflow. There needs to be air pressure to the lips. In order to get the lips there, this is beyond the voice. So the breath has to go past the vocalization in order to get the lips to vibrate. Now, there is a certain benefit if we already have balanced function. And that is if we can vocalize pure, which means not blowing the air past the vibration of the vocal cord. Ha, brah, but ah, ah, brr, brr. That's the only way that this vocal exercise has any benefit. Otherwise, it's teaching the individual to blow the air through the glottis, which reinforces the loose, excessively open glottal adjustment, which is completely contrary to a balanced, pure vocalization. So, if we can already vocalize well, we can do this exercise in a fairly decent way. But what's the point? If we can already vocalize in a balanced way, what do we need this exercise for? Because this exercise is claimed to be a way to develop a balanced vocalization. But if we're doing, you hear how that's whisper. The voice is actually whispering. I hear people probably, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody do this exercise with actually a good vocalization like I just demonstrated, so that it's actually buzzing. Now see, that's not pressed. Some people think that that would be pressed. That's pressed. And it makes it very difficult to make the lips go if you're pressing the vibration. But I can't remember ever hearing anybody buzz like that. Everybody has a loose, everyone has a loose vocalization when they do the lip buzz. And so basically what's happening is the assumption is that buzzing the lips is assisting the vocalization to become more pure, because the lips are not letting the air just flow out. So it's getting a better vibration. But that's a fallacy. That's an illusion. What it's really doing, but because we have to have that airflow getting the lips to vibrate, it's encouraging and reinforcing the excessive airflow that is a completely unbalanced vocalization. So then we have all this, so all you have to do is take the lips away, right? And supposedly, if this exercise were so perfect, if we took the lips away, the voice would continue vocalizing and functioning optimally. All we're getting is just a whole bunch of airflow that's throwing the whole mechanism out of balance, rather than rather than it staying The voice and the breath need to be balanced together. We don't want to hold the voice. We don't want to blow the breath. These are both examples of excess in each of the two partners. Okay? So don't bother, is my opinion. If you like this exercise and you find that this exercise is helpful, okay? But please take a minute to try to understand the building blocks to our vocal activity, and make sure that what feels like it's such a good thing because, oh, it's so relaxed, is that really beneficial? Ask yourself, you have to ask yourself these questions. Is what I'm doing actually benefiting the overall function? I've had people come to me, write to me, ask me questions about this, and tell me, I can, when I'm doing the exercise, it seems like it's great, but I can't make it transfer to my actual singing. And this is why, because the actual vocalization is not represented in what this exercise is doing, right? So we'd be just as good just doing but even that is dependent on having a good vocalization. If we don't have that, see, it's still whispering, or that's tight. The vocal deficiencies don't get removed by doing some kind of a trick. They only are removed when we learn how to coordinate the breathing, the vocalizing, and the pronouncing. Pronouncing is the resonance, the vocalizing is the vibration of the larynx, and obviously the breathing is the breathing. And getting those things to all work together in a well-coordinated, well-balanced sort of way. Okay, so I hope this just kind of gives you some food for thought. These are the kinds of things I talk about every day in our private group. If it interests you, go to VocalWisdom.com/private community, or just follow the link on the video and find out more information. All right, love to have you join us, and I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.